Sometimes the smallest things can make a huge difference to a property's value, and most buyers completely overlook them. Today, we're going to spot the traps hiding behind property prices that are too good to be true. Hi everyone, this is Leslie here from Duo Tax. Take a good look at these pictures on the screen. At first glance, it looks like your average house, but there are a few sneaky signs that could mean tens of thousands of dollars in value down the drain. Can you spot them? Pause the video if you want to test yourself and let us know in the comments down below. So how did you do? Could you spot the 4 factors that would decrease the value of the house in the picture? If it was tricky or you're curious to dive deeper, stick around because we'll be going through 7 often overlooked factors that can make a property deal look like a steal but actually come with a catch. First, let's talk about those big metal eyesores, the power transmission towers and the major power lines running through the residential areas. Properties located near these are often significantly cheaper. For many buyers, it starts with the perceived health risks. Even though the research is still inconclusive, many buyers are wary about living too close to a high voltage line. And this perception drives the property values down. Then there's the visual factor. Let's be honest, no one wants a massive tower photobombing their backyard barbecue towering over their view. It affects street appeal and can make a resale harder down the line. To top it off, some lenders are cautious about financing properties close to power lines. This can make it tricky for property owners looking at selling in the future and may limit capital growth and the property's long-term potential. Next up, flood zones. A property sitting in a flood-prone area will often come with a lower price tag, but there's a catch. The biggest issue is insurance. Flood risk can mean high premiums, or in some cases, limited cover altogether. That's an ongoing cost a lot of buyers don't factor in. If there's heavy rainfall or a big storm, you're looking at potentially major repair bills to fix resulting water damage, structural issues, and mold. But it doesn't just stop there. When you eventually try to sell, a flood-prone location will have a lower buyer demand, which means lower offers and longer time on the market. One useful thing to know is that councils usually publish flood maps, but many buyers don't bother to check it until it's too late. A quick look early on can save a world of pain and help you make a better informed decision. So if that property price looks too good to be true, check the flood map before you sign anything. Now let's talk about the frontage size of the block. You might see 2 properties with the same land size on paper, but a narrow frontage can make one of them significantly cheaper. Why? Because frontage affects so many practical things. A narrow street frontage can really limit your street appeal and the amount of natural light that enters the home. It can also mean less parking space or trickier garage access, a deal breaker for some families or those with multiple cars. Narrow frontages can also restrict what you're allowed to build. For example, duplex developments often have a minimum frontage requirement. If you don't meet it, that's a big chunk of potential value off the table. While the land size might sound impressive, the shape of the block and the frontage measurement can make or break the property's long-term value. So when checking out a property, look beyond the numbers and see how it actually measures up. Now let's talk apartments. Sometimes you'll see a unit that looks like a steal compared to others in the same area. But with apartments, there are often things to check off first before celebrating that bargain. Defects. Cracks, water leaks, or cladding issues might not sound too scary at first, but across an entire building, fixing them can cost millions. And guess who's going to be forking out the bill? The owners. These usually show up as special levies and can be a very unwelcome surprise. Strata levels. Not every apartment in the same building pays the same strata fees. Some lots cover more shared services or amenities, which means higher ongoing costs. Always check what your lot liability actually includes and not just the advertised amount. And finally, views. That beautiful harbour view or open outlook might not be there for life. If there's a development next door, your $1 million view could disappear overnight. Suddenly, that cheap entry price makes a lot more sense. So when it comes to apartments, the real cost often isn't obvious upfront, but snowballs later into expensive surprises. Similarly, pay close attention to a property strata area. With apartments or townhouses, it's easy to get distracted by a big headline figure, like 100 square meters. But not all of that space is actually inside the property. The total strata area usually includes more than just your living space. It can also count things like car spaces, balconies, and storage cages, and even parts of shared areas. So a 100 square meter apartment might actually only have 70 square meters of usable living space. This matters because smaller internal areas can really affect livability. Less space means less flexibility with furniture, storage, and lifestyle. It can limit your long-term capital growth too. Always ask for the breakdown between internal and total strata areas. Don't just rely on the headline. Another factor is less about the property itself and more about its history. In real estate, there's something called material facts. Sellers are legally required to disclose this information, like if the property was the site of a violent crime. Properties with a dark history often sell at a discount. Some buyers are emotionally turned off, and some people simply won't even go near them. But not all death-related properties are treated the same. A deceased estate just means the previous owner passed away, not necessarily at the property. These homes are often priced for a quicker sale, but they don't carry the same stigma as with crime-related history. Knowing the difference between a genuine bargain and a haunted property no one else wants can save you from very awkward resale challenges later on. And number 7, the last on our list, battle axe blocks. These are the ones tucked behind another property, usually accessed through a narrow driveway that looks a bit like the handle of an axe. On paper, they can look like great value, but that lower price usually comes with some trade-offs. 1. Privacy can actually be worse than on a regular block. You've got shared access or neighbors walking and driving past your entry, which can feel a bit intrusive. 2. You don't get the same street frontage. That means less natural light, poorer ventilation, and limited street appeal. And 3. Families often prefer standard blocks with direct street access. While battle axe blocks can work for investors if rental demand is strong in the area, they generally attract less buyers. So, next time you see a property deal that looks a little too good to be true, remember to look out for these 7 factors before you call it a bargain. We've covered some of the most common ones, like power lines, flood zones, narrow frontages, apartment surprises, sneaky strata details, crime history, and battle axe blocks. The key takeaway here is to always look beyond the headline price. By spotting these early, you'll make smarter buying decisions and be ahead of most buyers. If you found this video helpful, give us a like, subscribe for more property tips, and share it with a friend who's on the hunt for a bargain. It might just save them a small fortune.